We're back with the Vac. Boring ass week. I'm Val. He's Nate. Boring ass week, right? Nothing
Not
happened.
much happened this week at all.
Well, you live by comparison. If we're only judging it from the last 14 days, the last 7 have been an absolute snooze fest, right? Just by comparison to the week before.
We almost couldn't do this episode.
Right. Why is that?
Because of the computer outages.
The computer outages.
Like if that kept snowballing, if there wasn't a sort of relatively quick fix for that.
Yes. It does sort of touch on something that we've spoke about a lot, which is sort of the reliance on digital tech in the modern world. You know, when 8 million computers go down and airports are affected and hospitals are affected and banks are affected to the point where people can't fly planes, withdraw money or get medical care, we've got a massive problem. Now, I'm not one of those people who says, like, we need to go back to papers and pens and little folders and filing cabinets. No. That's obviously ridiculous and silly, but I'm sure there's a solution.
My work was affected. Was your work affected?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we had just computers around the office started, restarting and blue screening. It just sort of spread around like a virus.
Fantastic. Would have looked like the end of the world, wouldn't it? If you just walked
actually
into
wasn't
work,
there.
Everyone's computers were just going blue screening out. You'd think, what's going on? Is this the initial thinking would have been that this is a hack, like that a massive hack's happened.
That's my first thought when things start going wrong. I think it's World War III. I'm terrified.
No, that's what happens every time the power goes out. That thought enters my mind that it's on, like something happened.
It's going to start with a cyber attack and attacking the power infrastructure.
Actually, what would be more frightening is if the power's on, but the internet's off. And you're like, is everyone's internet off? And then if everyone's is, we've got a massive problem. Something has happened.
I actually wasn't at work the day it happened. I had a leave day. So this is just what I was told by other people, how it crept around the office. But I saw some news about it and I was thinking, I just saw some headlines on my phone. And I was wondering what the big problem is because I know it's the biggest outage of all time, unprecedented in that respect, but it affected less than 1% of Windows computers. Mm-hmm. Some people got stuck in Corfu on their honeymoons. Other people got 2 hours off at work. It was a mini holiday. It was a break that everyone needed. Understood.
I can explain why it feels like such a little amount of PCs were affected is because this is really an endpoint piece that really only gets used by businesses. No personal computer would have been touched by this. Everyone would have been happily gaming out on that Monday, unless they're gaming on a work computer. Now, so for the most part, it didn't affect me at all because we're not businesses. So it is mainly that thing, which affects airports and all that sort of stuff. Like you said, people are getting stuck places. Other people, doesn't really matter at all. So it's a big outage in terms of the economic impact, but it wasn't wide-reaching in people's personal lives, let's say.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless you're doing something on a personal level at the time, journaling or something, and then it was taken away from you briefly.
Well, you'd have to be journaling on your work PC because, like I said, this update that occurs only happens to corporate PCs.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So, other thing that happened in the news, because it was a slow week, this is big news though. Joe Biden's actually stepped down from running, so he's not going to be the Democratic nominee for that party. It's Kamala Harris. There are a bunch of reasons why it's Kamala Harris, not the least of which being she is the current serving vice president of the United States. That's probably working
when
in
you
her
say
favor.
she is that just, I know that she's been, what's the word? Biden's kind of endorsed her.
Yes.
Is she the official? Is she? No, that's what I was going to say. When you say
they have to go to the DNC,
Mm.
which then they will nominate their candidate.
Mm. I don't think it's going to be Kamala.
I think it will be.
You think it will be? Okay.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know
There's
who the
some
alternatives
campaigns
are.
financing laws involved in this. There's $200 million. It's in a big kitty. Must be spent on the Biden-Harris campaign. So
really?
so if someone wants to step in, if someone's like, I want this job, then they've got to come up with $200 million pretty quick.
Okay.
And apparently that's not even a big deal. Apparently you can whip up $200 million pretty easily.
Pretty quick
I
if you're
thought
running.
it actually sounds quite difficult to me, but apparently it's quite easy.
You clearly have to be on a bit of an inner circle to.
Yeah, but they're talking about an afternoon to raise 200 mil. Anyway,
yeah, I didn't think the donors were actually behind Kamala. That was my understanding, that they weren't like super keen on her. But if you got 200 mil sitting there already,
they had to be aware that this was a possibility, not just because of the 25th Amendment, but because of she is the presumptive in terms of he's run with her, they've won together, so she's the next person.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm interested. I don't know who the other alternatives are. I know there's Vice President Trump. I know that he's always an option. I thought Biden was just getting going, though, in some ways. I thought he was just warming up. Like, I thought he was just loosening up. I thought I could see improvement.
Well, you thought the debate was good warm-up?
Yeah, I think that he set a low benchmark. And since then he's getting better and better, you know? He had a golf handicap. Mate, do you know he had a golf handicap of 6 when he was vice president?
Yeah. I know he's handicapped. Oh, yeah. I know he's very virile. I'm going to miss him on the campaign because he does that. I just showed you before we started the pod tonight, about him, how he did this whisper thing where he says something and then he reinforces it by whispering it. Or, I raised $1.1 trillion. Yeah, he says something like, they think I've done nothing to help the small man. I gave him 1.1 trillion. It's super weird, but I'm going to miss it because it's entertainment, you know? It's good fun.
Methuselah of the Book of Genesis did most of his best work after the years 200. So 200 onwards is actually when Methuselah got going.
That's like your 20s back then.
Yeah. So, I mean,
that's your 20s.
Biden actually hadn't actually reached his apex. He was still on the way up. You see what I'm saying? He's
Yoda. He's 850 by this same logic. If we're doing Methuselah logic. Because they live to 800 in the Bible. So if you're 200, you're effectively in your 20s. You know, if you're 300, you're in your 30s.
Methuselah got to 969.
There you go.
Oldest
so
man
we have to
ever.
divide 10.
He's the goat of being old.
Is he the oldest bloke to have ever lived in the Bible?
Apparently.
Is that right?
Yeah. No one cracked the 1,000.
I know you've been reading the Bible. They never talk about why people were living longer back then.
No, apparently Adam lived to his 800s.
Yeah, so did Noah.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah, so Methuselah was, I think,
they kind of had to because it
granddaddy.
It helps to sort of get the population thing going.
I really like Biden. He does. I mean, he reminds me of my granddad. I think he reminds most people of their granddads.
Sure, but is that a good president?
Oh, let's give him a go. Go on, give him a go.
Yeah, but you can't be messing up world leaders' names and all this sort of stuff. I know it's small. I know we all do it, but it was pretty bad.
Mate, he's got the most experience on the planet.
Yes, I agree.
If only he could implement that in a...
He is very experienced. You know, when Donald Trump won in 2016, it was a bit of a protest vote because he was claiming to not really be a politician. People liked that about him. So you've got this guy who's not a politician versus this guy who's, as we put it just then, the most experienced politician in the world. So you can see why people would go either way with that experience over we hate the way things are.
Maybe the Dems can find someone
pretty,
Maybe the Dems can find someone a little bit fresh, like a non-politician. Maybe they go with the Donald Trump approach.
Yeah, get Jon Stewart in there. I've always said that's a good candidate for the Dems.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He's a good candidate for the Dems. I don't think do it now. That's a terrible idea. Although Jon Stewart versus Trump, this is the only time you would ever get it because Donald Trump, if he wins, can't be the candidate again. And if he loses, they probably won't run him again because he's lost 2 in a row. So can't really run Donald Trump again. Could you? I mean, you could because people would do it, but shit, I don't like that. But Jon Stewart versus anybody. Jon Stewart versus any Republican probably wins.
I heard the name Michelle Obama bandied about today.
Wow.
Is there any truth in that?
No. I think there's more truth in Hillary Clinton than Michelle Obama. I think
she must be shortening. She must be shortening.
Give her a kick.
Yeah, she's come from 500 to 1. She was 26 to 1 about 2 weeks ago. She must, now that Biden's gone, she must be in at 15 to 1.
It's still long odds and it's probably not going to happen.
But to run Hillary against Trump again. So
wild.
You know why they go with Biden? Because Biden's beaten Trump. It's like the rock, scissors, paper thing again.
Correct.
You don't go with a losing combination, right? You don't
if he's throwing out scissors and you beat him with rock last time, you're not going to throw paper out. Yeah.
And if you threw out paper and and Republicans put out scissors, you don't lead again. You don't when he's already revealed his hand, his scissors.
Yeah,
you don't pop paper out there again. And to be honest, I think Trump's going to win no matter who they put up. I just think that he's just survived an assassination attempt. His I don't want to say credentials. His sort of God complex is through the roof. His supporter base is galvanized. I just can't see him losing. I'm always wrong, so he probably will lose. But that's just where I'm at the moment.
Well, the polls kind of agree with you at this point. Most of the polls that I've seen anyway have him winning quite comfortably. And then this was even before the assassination attempt. So you can imagine he didn't lose fans by getting shot at in America. He didn't lose any fans that day.
He certainly did not. He could have got some of those sense fitters across to his side because it's almost the perfect – you wouldn't read about it. Like when I was in the US, I posted when Trump did win.
You were there in 2016, weren't you?
I was there at the White House when Trump was voted in, and I posted on Facebook something about the witnessing the season finale to America. Right? We were halfway through. We weren't even halfway through. We were sort of in season 3 of 6.
But 2016, you might think that's a long time ago, and it was. It was 8 years ago. So
I hope the Democrats actually don't put up another woman because I think it won't.
Well, they are going to because Kamala Harris is famously a woman.
Yes, but as you said, she's not actually. She's the leading candidate, and she's most likely going to be. But that hasn't been locked away yet.
When is the DNC?
I'm worried about Trump. I'm worried about Trump beating another woman because I think Trump's going to beat another anyone.
Oh, right. So
and I don't want the optics of him going up against two women and beating them both. But they would be saving
certain people from people who they think could be a future president. They're like, no, we don't want to run them right now, taking over from Joe because they'll lose and then we won't be able to run them again later. So they don't want to waste any of their good stock. This is what I've heard. No, it's true. And so do you just stay with Kamala Harris, know you're going to lose the election and deal with it in 4 years and just have a whole bunch of ammunition to use against Trump when he
But Trump can't run again.
No, but it's more that you can say, oh, the Republicans really screwed up.
I see. Yeah,
they've run the country for the last 4 years and it's all gone to shit.
Yeah, come back to the dark side.
Which is the normal thing.
Yeah. They just share it around. Imagine the conversations being had by the higher-ups right now in the Democrats.
Oh, they'd be shitting themselves.
And Trump announced his running mate, VP JD Vance.
JD Vance, yeah.
Yeah. But, he will be VP.
Yeah, so what do you know about him? Do you know much about him?
I know he was a critic of Trump. Massive critic. As we've all been massive critics of Trump. Yeah.
You can't not be. You can't not be.
Everyone said shit about Trump. Everyone could have a quote that says, he's a fucking, whatever, X. Insert expletive here.
I'm sure that most people would agree with you. No, but so what else do you know? You know anything else about him? You just know that he spoke ill of him.
Yes,
I heard the word Hitler being thrown around.
America's Hitler. Cynical arsehole. Saw that being bandied about.
Yeah, but when you're picking a VP, you need to he needs to pick someone. He almost needs to pick someone in his party that he disagrees with to some extent to bring that whole thing together. You know, when you don't agree with everyone in your party, you get someone from the other side of the party, someone who disagrees with you.
Yeah, you bring
get
someone
him into
along
the
for
VP,
the ride. Yeah.
and it gets everyone in between to fall into line.
I mean, that's what the Democrats did with Kamala.
Totally. Like, it's the same thing.
We got an old white guy. Let's get a younger black woman. Get her on the ticket.
Yeah.
Let's appeal to as many groups as possible. Let's cover all bases here.
Yep. Nailed it.
Smashed it. Yeah, what do you know about him? I don't even know what his name is. He could be the JD. Isn't that the guy from Scrubs?
Oh, he was another JD.
Yeah, he could be his name for all I know.
Who knows? I think if my name was, for example, James Deacon Vance or something American like that, I'd want people to call me JD Vance. You know, because Vance, I'll say this is a cool surname. It reminds me of a Grand Theft Auto Vice City character named Lance Vance. And he was a cool cat. So, that's it. When's the DNC? Do we know? August 19 to the 22nd of August 2024. So we've still got a month really? Till they have to put up a candidate. Now, there mustn't be a debate between now and then.
There mustn't.
I don't think there can be. How can there be?
Who would he be debating?
That's what I mean.
Masturbating by himself.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they have. I don't think they'll be able to do that.
A solo mass debate.
Yeah. But the last one, you know, and we talked about it, that didn't have crowds, you know, that probably hurt the vibe of the debate because they're not used to doing this one-on-one with just a moderator there. They're used to doing it in front of heaps of people. Yeah. They're used to that crowd participation, even though they're not meant to say a word. They're used to it. So it did seem like a pretty lulled affair. It looked like two old blokes having it out at the bowling club, you know, talking about their golf swings and all sorts of dumb shit. So wasn't a fan. I will watch the next debate, obviously, no matter who's up. And I'd be interested to see if they go for anyone other than Kamala, but I don't think they will. I think they're locked in. It's who she picks now to run with.
Well, I'm going to go with they're not going to go with her. That's my vibe. Without being, I don't know what's going on. I just feel like it's not her. Mm-hmm. Unless they're, I don't know.
What do they do? What do they do? Because optically, it sucks either way, right? Optically, if they replace her with a dude, like you think they will.
Oh no, right? It might not be a dude.
You were saying how if Donald Trump goes up against a woman,
I just said I hope he doesn't beat another woman. He'll beat whoever they put up, and if they put up another woman, then Trump's beaten two women to get in the White House. I don't think it look.
But he's going to beat. If you replace him, if you replace Kamala for say a white dude, for example, that doesn't look good either. That's like an admission of she can't win against him and all this sort of stuff. Whereas she's got to be right now exuding a lot of I can win. Even if she doesn't feel it, she has to be going out there going, I can win and we can help. We can make America good for everybody, or whatever the fuck the campaign is of, you know, Kamala Harris. I don't know. I need to see more because you don't see enough of her in Australian sort of news. That doesn't get
no. And
air.
Again, I maintain. I said in a podcast a while ago, I had heard, and again, you were like, oh, "Where'd you hear this?" I'm just saying this is just what I've been fed. I heard she was a very unpopular vice president, and I did.
How do you get gauged as an unpopular vice president?
I don't know.
What's the metric?
Yeah. But there are metrics.
Is it a vibe? Has someone just gone, I had a vibe?
Yeah, and it might be at various times. I remember there was this narrative that she was actually quite unpopular with. Her popularity was like one of the worst it had ever been for a vice president. And I don't have the data. I don't have the stats. This is just what I'd understood to be the case. I remember having a quick Google about it, and it wasn't. I was like, typing. I was like, who are the most unpopular vice presidents of all time. I didn't see her name mentioned again, but I remember there was that narrative floating around at one stage. But this might be
but again, the VP doesn't get that much airtime compared to presidents and presumptives.
And there's a lot of VPs that haven't gone on to be the number one choice for president as well.
Yeah, I guess there has been. Joe Biden was one of the exceptions to that. Obviously served under Barack and then 2 terms under Barack
No one's
Obama.
talking about Mike Pence,
No, but famously that didn't go too well.
So I just wouldn't be surprised if another VP doesn't get the gig as in the main role. And I don't think it's going to be a man. The only 2 names I've heard of are Michelle Obama and Hillary Clinton. So that, as far as I'm concerned, not knowing
there's
probably a million people in that race. But
no, there's another guy that gets bandied around a lot.
And this might be a little bit too, I don't know if we want to discuss this, but do you reckon Trump is, what's the word? Do you think, is he shooting blanks? Like, could he impregnate someone if he wanted to? Well, do we want a president that is not virile? Do we want someone that, if the world ends, and we repopulate, don't you start with the president? Hasn't he got what it takes to lead us? Don't you want to capture those genes and propagate those further?
Do you think this should be part of the presidential thing?
He's going to be in the bunker when the nuclear winter comes.
I don't think that's how politics has worked for thousands of years, though. It's not like you have become president, now you must produce an heir for the presidency.
Because Mick Jagger impregnated someone. Like, he had a baby when he was in his 70s, right?
Right. No, men are well known to be able to procreate long into their lives. Yes, so that is true.
Now it got me thinking. Are we dealing with 2 dudes that...
see, Mick wanted to have a baby in his 50s. And then when he was in his 60s, he started to get worried that he'd be an old dad. And then in his 70s, he was like, I'm going to do it anyway. I am going to be an old dad. But, the initial thoughts were when he was in his 50s thinking, make sure I want to have another kid. I want to have some more kids. Obviously, I want to have more kids. I'm like a young, virile young man. I'm Mick Jagger. So then he would have been in his 60s thinking, look, it's got to be now or never. I don't want to be an old man father. This is the fear that many young men have. So in his 80s, it just worked out. He was 95 years old. Bang, have another one.
Okay, Mick Jagger says his kids don't need $500 million, as he hints he may give away their inheritance. Man, Mick Jagger looks so much like your dad. It's incredible. Has your dad ever been approached by people?
I think he won a lookalike contest one year, but that would have been in the 70s or 80s.
I met a guy who looks just like Bill Burr the other day.
Someone told me I looked like Jared Leto. I could have hugged them. But Jared Leto is a 55-year-old man nowadays, so that didn't flatter me too much. But he is a very good-looking 50-something-year-old man. Wait, how old is Jared Leto? I'm taking it anyway to the bank.
I don't know. Man, this is weird.
He's 52 years old, ladies and gentlemen. He's 52 years old. He looks amazing. That's all I'm going to say. He's probably doing that fucking Brian Johnson blood bullshit.
Wait, is he 50? How old is he?
52.
I just got him up. He's 52.
He's 52.
Man, his hair is luscious. It's illustrious.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
It's Pantene Pro V. He should be
in a shampoo commercial. Can you see the curly
commercial.
one? Can you see the wavy one where the brown has the tones in it? The brown hair with the... That's a 52-year-old man.
It's the best hair I've ever seen. Is that a wig?
He's a good-looking fella. There's no doubt about it.
I want to look like him when I'm 52.
Do you know what movies he's done?
He looks like he's the Joker in something.
Yeah, he was the Joker in one of the offshoot kind of movies. I think it was No. Was it Suicide Squad? Or I think he does it again in Justice League. But type in Jared Leto, then put a space, then put a space bar after Jared Leto, and then type Angel Face.
Angel. I always type angle.
Yeah, that's natural.
Okay. All right. I haven't seen this before.
This is Fight Club, bro. You've definitely seen it.
Is this Fight Club?
Mm-hmm. You know the guy who Edward Norton smashes the fuck out of one night?
He gets
really aggro and just gets on top of Jared Leto and starts laying full mount punches to the face and really fucks him up, right? And like Brad Pitt says
blonde.
some comment to him, says something like, what the fuck happened to you, man? And Edward Norton says something very Fight Clubby, like, I just wanted to destroy something beautiful. And then it shows his face, where, you know, the way that he beat the shit out of him, like how fucked up he was. Yeah. He is completely fucked. And then they show him in like the next scene. He's back at Project Mayhem, just back with his
Project
abusers.
Mayhem. I was about to say, he joins the cult. So is he Angel Face after he gets his face smashed in, or is he Angel Face before that?
I think he was Angel Face before that, and then it just worked for him because he became this like twisted monster after that. It never really heals in the movie because I don't think there's enough time that passes. But good movie. I think he's like let me just check. He's number 3 to get into the house. He's number 3 into Project Mayhem. Like when the people are lining up out the front asking to come in, do you remember the movie, right?
Yeah.
So people are waiting to come in. They want to get accepted into the house, and what he does is like they just wait on the front door, and Brad Pitt would come out and just say like, "No, you can't come in. You're fat or whatever the excuse is. You're not good enough for this. You're too young. All this sort of stuff." And if they can be out there for 3 days with no food, no water, no encouragement, they can enter. They can enter, and so it's the first recruit who I don't know. That's
pretty low barrier of entry. It's like if you're really lazy and you just don't leave,
Well, you got to stand still on a porch for 3 days. That's very military. It's very marine-y.
Right.
It's very.
I thought you could sit down.
It's torture.
I thought some people may have just forgotten and sat down, not really knowing what they're doing, and then they get in by sort of default. But no, they're standing there the whole time. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So it's a bit of torture. It's a bit of, fostering a bit of Stockholm syndrome, maybe but they want this. It's this whole consent to the whole thing that is just throughout Fight Club.
This reminds me of something I was reading. I've got it. I said I have to get my phone out to talk about something on the episode. This is like, it's a weird link, but wife and I were in a bookstore on Saturday night. Sometimes they have books. It was in Vic Park and they have a bookstore around. So we were just like browsing some books. And there was one, it was in like the religious section, actually. It was weird. And it was called 101 Kinky Things book. Right. And I was like,
in the religious section.
Yeah. The spirituality section. I think it was, I don't know if it's like, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. But anyway, so I was like, what's this? I flicked it open just about, what is 101 kinky things? Like, what are they going to be recommending here? I was like, that's a lot of things.
Is there 101 kinky things? I can name about 6.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've never heard of this before. So I just turned it. This is the only one I looked at, and I took a picture of it. Okay, I almost just didn't want to look at other ones because I didn't want to spoil this one unusual one. 68. 68. So, yeah, close.
We all know what that is. Yeah.
Right, okay, human furniture. I'll just read this to you.
What the hell is human furniture, bro?
One form of sexual objectification is human furniture play, where one person, usually a submissive, pretends to be a piece of furniture that the other can sit on, place objects on, or otherwise use.
I am a chair. I am a chair. I have a chair. I am a chair. So do you want to do the furniture thing again? Are you going to be a chair again? I was thinking about going chair again. Do you want to have a seat?
Sounds like the chair was what came to mind with me, but it sounds like it goes deeper than that. So,
it's just it's a bookshelf, and she'll put books on you and then walk away because she doesn't want to have sex or anything. She just wants to think of you as a bookshelf and just know that you're not a bookshelf, but you're
spot on. That you're exactly right. People involved in this kink may play the role of a chair, a table, or another piece of furniture of their partner's choosing. The dominant partner might interact with or speak to their furniture, or might not acknowledge them at all, depending on what both partners find most exciting.
Oh.
Some people enjoy the objectifying nature of this activity and the accompanying sense of being less than and inconsequential. The necessity of remaining still can feel restrictive in a pleasingly bondage-esque way. Some submissives like to feel...
I am a chair. Yeah, got it.
Some submissives like to feel useful to their dominants by supporting their bodies or possessions the way a piece of furniture would. Sadists and masochists may also enjoy the pain and discomfort that results from staying in one position for a long time. So maybe they were just being flagpoles out the front of the Project Mayhem.
Yep.
That they were doing the same thing.
Sexual gratification.
Maybe they were getting off on a little bit.
Yeah, okay. I never thought of the sexual component of Project Mayhem, which is they're all getting off all the time. It's not sexual.
By being ignored.
No one's having sex or anything in Project Mayhem, but all of the tasks that they're forced to do
and now,
giving them sexual pleasure. Yeah.
And then emotionally affirming aftercare is especially important for the kinks that are objectifying or dehumanizing.
You're a very nice chair.
You bring him into the house. You bring him in.
Extremely nice chair.
You can come be a footstool in the house now.
Yeah. Brilliant.
You may also want to have on hand some heating pads, arnica cream, bath salts, or other measures for treating pain and stiffness after the scene.
Jeepers in my deepers. When you have to prepare for the eventual pain, I mean, it's time to rethink the kink. That was a good one. I'm going to have to write that down. Rethink the kink can be the campaign.
Wonder what else he could be, because a bed's sort of weird. That would be quite uncomfortable for everyone involved if you're just like rolling around on them. There's obviously there's a chair, a table. A table's the obvious one.
Table's pretty obvious.
You could be like, if you had a hard on, you could be some kind of key
ring.
Yeah, like a key. You could
not a key ring. Don't add
you
into your set.
Hang something off it.
Yeah.
Like a towel. You could hold a towel
rack. Yeah, I could be towel rack.
So if you're really into it, you'd maintain your boner because you're like, yeah, I'm a towel rack. I'm loving this.
Yeah, obviously. What else could you be though? That's pretty much it. I'm a piano.
As I say, here's these. They give two examples. I don't know if there was more on the other side, but there's two at the bottom of the page. I only took one picture. Get on all fours to become your partner's footstool while they recline in a comfy chair. If you'd rather not be fully ignored, you could have them read aloud to you from a book or a magazine while you sink into the contemplative, almost meditative.
The top 10 footstools. Number 1. That's hilarious.
And this is the other recommendation. Kneel beside your partner's feet whilst they're reading a book or watching TV and hold their drink for them like a side table. Notice how it feels for you to be ignored and slightly dehumanized like this and whether it turns you on. This is, sexuality is a spectrum.
It's the forbidden fruit though, isn't it? You have it and you go, damn it, I am turned on by being like ignored. Oh no, damn it. I was kind of hoping I wasn't going to get turned on by that, but I am turned on by that. So now I guess that's my thing now, and now I'm locked into it. Jeez, I wish I just never found out. Anyway, the point that I was going to make is, you would come in and be like obviously your partner's already set up. They're in chair mode because you walk in. You're not going to be like, all right, begin, like get into your chair position. It's going to be like, I'm going to leave the room and then I'm going to come back in and you're going to be gone. You're not going to be here anymore. Chair's going to be here. Right? So I leave the room, come back in, and there they are as a chair. And I go, whoa, that's a really nice looking chair there. Geez, what a comfortable looking chair. I think I might have sex with it.
Yeah, but it sounds like it's not even the sex.
I know, but that's where my brain goes. It's like, now I have to have sex with this chair. Which is weird. Am I turned on by having sex with the chair? Are chairs like?
Yeah, maybe there's some people that actually like chairs. They just get like a rolly chair and they just can't get enough of it. They just flip it over and just start rubbing against it. Like they're just like, I love furniture. I love Italian.
So many different types of chairs in your house. I do have a lot of chairs. I do like to keep a lot of different chairs. I like sofas. I like little footsies. I like everything.
Just lubricant all over it.
Yeah, what's all this stuff? Fetish shit. Yeah, so
you could have a really hairy chair as well, like one that's
rug, bit of a rug.
Yeah. Well, that happens. Actually, I'm getting really weirded out by this now because that was what is in June 3 or 4. I think it's June 3. The book. No, though there's they have dogs turned into chairs. So like there's living. They're a dog that is a chair.
Okay.
But I'm just starting now to think about hairy chairs. That's all. It's kind of
Okay.
weird because then if someone's into chairs, into furniture,
Right.
and they're into animals, this is like the perfect.
You can't be into animals. That's illegal.
Yeah, no, you can't. But like, there are people. What are they, like bestials or something? Bestiality people, aren't they? You know. Like,
yeah. I don't think it's. I think it's pretty frowned upon. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, fucking a chair is frowned upon.
Yeah, but it's not illegal.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Have sex with chairs.
Or other furniture.
I just wanted to make that point, yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking a lot about furniture now. I can't really think of too many. A massage table makes a lot of sense. I've got a massage table, but
it's too on the nose. You know?
I need to get this book. I need to know what else is in this.
Yeah,
there'll be something.
The thing is,
there'll be something for me in there.
Really?
101 things.
So?
Yeah,
I mean, there's got to be one.
Got to be
but
something.
if one of them is like, once you're up to 68, they must have been on 67, and they're like, maybe pretend like you're a vehicle or something, and they're like, okay, yeah, pretend you're a vehicle. Give us some examples of that. And they go, okay, well, you can pretend to drive them or whatever, and they're like, okay, yeah, and do you have to have sex with them? It's like, not necessarily. You could be just getting off on the fact that they're transporting you from A to B in a sort of timely fashion. All right, cool. Next page, 68. Same thing, but with tables, chairs, and whatnot around the house. Yep, that's fine. 69, we got that covered. 70, they're just writing this book in a day. Anyway, yeah, we need the whole book. We need to get some more. We should reveal one kinky thing from the book a week.
It did occur to me when I took a picture for the purposes of the podcast, I was thinking it's a little bit like my fact book. Do you want some facts, actually?
Yeah. You know what I found out today? Yeah. I'm a big fan of Stephen Wright. He does one-liner comedy. He does a whole joke in one line. And it turns out some of the things...
What's his name? Stephen Wright. Okay.
He's got a real monotony voice, but he does one-liners like something like, whenever I think about the past, it just brings back memories. Stuff like that, one-liners.
Yeah.
And it turns out that a lot of the things that I used to quote that I thought were quite clever back in the day were just Stephen Wright gags. He did one where it's something like, I couldn't fix your brakes, so I made your horn louder. It's that sort of thing. Eagles may soar, but weasels don't get sucked into jet engines. Just something to think about.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, let's have a fact out of the book.
Pick a page.
Is this a random fact? Oh, no, it's random.
Pick a page, any page.
Well, let's go 68 because 68 is the theme. So we'll go 68 from the Kinky book. We'll have 68 from this book.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay. I don't really like that one. 3 US presidents died on 4th of July. John Adams and Jeff Jefferson.
What, serving presidents?
Wait.
Jeepers.
Well, 3 US presidents died on 4th of July. It says John Adams and Thomas Jefferson in 1826. And James Monroe 5 years later. So wait, 2 of them died on the same day in the same year.
Not the same year.
Well, it says John Adams and Thomas Jefferson in 1826.
Okay. It is a fact that 3 founding father presidents, so they weren't serving, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and James Monroe died on the 4th of July. There you go.
I think that's poorly written because you don't know when John Adams died.
He died on that day.
But not. It says John Adams and Thomas Jefferson in 1826, implying they both died in 1826 on the 4th of July. Which would be weird if 2 presidents got shot on the same day.
Well, they didn't get shot.
Or, sorry, died. Oh, so there's died. Yeah, so
they just died.
Yeah, but still. Could you find out the date of the death of John Adams for me? I'm confused.
Wait, you want John Adams' death? Why is that? Why do you just want that one?
Because I know Thomas Jefferson died 4th of July, 1826. I don't know when John Adams died.
John Adams died 4th of July, 1826.
So 2 presidents died on the same day in history.
Ex-presidents.
Oh, yeah. I saw that sitting. Yeah.
Ex-presidents.
Yeah, okay.
He was a founding father, served as the 2nd president.
I didn't know where I was going with that. Okay, there's some others. People who die of old age are more likely to die at 11 a.m. than any other time.
That's a scary time, isn't it? So what age do you have to be worried about 11 a.m. once you get to 11 every day, you're pretty happy, pretty safe. Until 11 o'clock tomorrow.
What time was Trump's rally? Well, I suppose it's different.
I don't think that
he
counts
didn't
for
die
getting
of
shot
old
in the
age.
head. Yeah.
Do you reckon Biden every day, 11 a.m. comes around, he's like,
I think he'd be getting pretty excited, after 11. But he's only like 81, right? Is that right? I say only 81, but he's 81.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Galileo was born on the day that Michelangelo died.
Whoa. Is that all right?
They're two big names in
history.
history.
You just never think about them being linked, do you?
No.
Yeah. I know that Assassin's Creed games delved into a lot about sort of all of Michelangelo, Raphael, Da Vinci, all that sort of jam. It's good fun.
So I've got two more quotes for you. On page 69.
Yeah, let's have it.
Our mate John Adams.
Yep. So
again,
they're mentioning John Adams. Right.
Second president of the United States of America.
Correct.
Took up smoking at the age of 8. That's probably why he died on the 4th of July.
Well, how old was he, though?
Doesn't matter. He's dead now.
Doesn't matter. Well, he was 90.
Fuck. Jeez, he went all right. Maybe they weren't making cigarettes as toxic as they do now. Maybe they weren't the death sticks they are now.
Right.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Back then, what, you think it was really good for you?
Yeah, they probably
maybe
made
just when you're 8.
It was probably an organic cigarette, right? And now they make this non-organic poison.
Yeah.
Okay, get this. When George W. Bush, don't know which one, 43rd president of the United States of America, arrived in the White House, he found the Clinton administration, so it was Junior, had removed the W keys from all the computers.
Why?
I think it's just now, so he's George Bush, he can't do the W.
I'm so confused.
I think they're just trolling him. I don't know. They're just trolling him.
Sorry, read it again. I need to sort of figure this out.
When George W. Bush, 43rd president of the USA, arrived in the White House.
Yes, taking over from Bill Clinton. Yes.
He found the Clinton administration had removed the W keys from all the computers.
What the fuck? That's really weird. Is it a joke? Is it a bit of an in-gag? Do I not get something? Is that not destruction of company property?
The only thing I can think of is the W in George W. Bush.
What about the W in White House? They're going to have to write down White House on day one. They're going to have to put the words White House somewhere.
Yeah, but they've probably got letterhead. You probably don't have to do that.
You probably don't have to write White House.
And so the next one, actually, the next page.
Why wouldn't you take the G? Take the G.
No, it's fine. I don't know. He can't. Maybe they just think he's a wanker because he keeps using the W. He's like, like Nate W.
W. Yeah.
Whatever my last name is. In 1999, the president of Niger was, is that how you pronounce it? Niger? Was Major Wanky.
Okay.
Or Major Wank, W-A-N-K-E. How would you pronounce that?
Yep, sublime to the ridiculous. Yeah, Major Wank.
And this is the one. I've already told you this one. President Clinton of the USA is an anagram of to copulate, he finds interns.
Yeah, but did you know what Neil A backwards is, meaning Neil Armstrong? Neil A.
Wow. Alien. That's so good.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that one.
That's a good one. I like that.
And it's a nice short one. 5 letters, Alien. Wait. That's is that Close Encounters? I'm more thinking X-Files.
Oh, this is what Trump needs. In 1930, a radium-infused jockstrap called the scrotal radiodoctrinator went on the market claiming to boost sexual virility. So this is before we'd figured out what radiation was doing to people. we were in the early days of, we knew it had some effect, and I think 1930 is the year I think we discovered the neutrino. Sorry, the neutron. The neutron.
What? They didn't know about neutrons before then?
No, they couldn't figure out what was going on because they're chargeless, so it's really hard to detect them. They're big, but they've got no charge.
So you claim.
So they claim. So I'm told.
So I'm led to believe. So what, before then they were like, we know of positive electrons and we know of negatively charged electrons, but we don't know.
And they couldn't explain. It was so confusing for them to figure out what was happening. I'm pretty sure if you type in, because I'm reading a book about the making of the atomic bomb, and I've stopped reading it. I will get back into it. I'm reading something else.
You bored of the Bible?
Yeah, I am actually.
It's a tough slog. You didn't even get to the good bits, but you wanted this bit. You wanted the Old Testament.
It was 1932.
Mm-hmm. And what significance does sort of discovering the neutron lead to?
Well, the chain reaction process, like radiation, like splitting the atom. They realized they could split the atom because if you know of neutrons and you can get a beam of neutrons into an atom, they're really heavy, uncharged particles. They're not going to get repulsed by the nucleus because the nucleus is a dense, highly charged, positive chunk of matter.
So you claim. I've never seen one.
If they couldn't penetrate the atom. But when they realized that there's when something decays, it ejects neutrons from it splits and some neutrons fly out. Someone had the idea when they figured this out, when this was happening, someone's like, oh, we can like start a chain reaction where an atom decays, neutrons are expelled. The neutrons, because they're heavy and they're uncharged, they can penetrate, they're more likely to penetrate into an atom and cause instability in the atom. And that's gonna keep breaking and it's gonna keep happening. And the part I want to get to in the book is it's really detailed. It's a really thick book and it's going through the whole history of science from about 1900s to 1940s when they actually detonated.
Yeah, so you get a bit of a picture of where they were at.
Yeah, and it's such a process. I mean, neutron was like well down the track. There's so many other things. Einstein only started doing his work early 1900s. Anyway, what I'm looking forward to is when all the scientists are looking at the first nuclear in the Manhattan Project when they actually are going to blow up a bomb and they don't actually know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a fascinating part of Oppenheimer. If you have seen that movie, it is a fascinating part of Oppenheimer because I think they're mentioned, and this is just in the movie, that it's a near zero chance that we explode the atmosphere. But
they might ignite the whole atmosphere.
Yeah, but it's a near zero chance. That's what they were thinking, right?
Yeah,
but they can't say it's a zero.
The thing is, it's so obvious now that it's happened that we're fine. But before they had done that, they really didn't know what was going to happen. They had no idea. And the amount of energy release was far greater than they anticipated as well. So although it all seems in hindsight like they had no idea what they were doing, they're like, we're pulling the trigger on this and we'll find out afterwards. I think some people were really like, some people were worried. Anyway, that's what I want to get to because it has all the scientists, it's very detailed.
I mean, if you were looking at the Earth from space in, the early mid-1940s and you just see like the Earth go just one time, just there it is, there's the first test, you would go, okay, we are at that point. We're at that point now where
it might
we've
be
turned the
detectable.
we've turned biblical weapons into real weapons. Like we've turned the wrath of God into something we can pop into a 2-ton cylinder and drop somewhere. That's kind of what I think would have been evident at the time. And I think they kind of knew that as well, right? This isn't like natural progression where you go from a cannonball to a slightly better ballistic to then something that has explosives in it to then nukes. Like it's magnitudes above what was possible before. And the trajectory wasn't there for this to have come out of nowhere. And it's kind of frightening that, much like the space program, where, you and me lament sometimes that not seeing enough progress on the Artemis front, even though we've been there before 60 years ago, starting to get a bit skeptical if you guys can actually do what you say you can do. It's getting a bit weird out here. At the same time, we're 60 years from the Apollo missions. We're 80 years from the last nukes. 80 years. So if there was another order of magnitude above what the nukes are capable of, then we're dealing with essentially a missile that isn't a missile. It's just a black hole that we open up and it swallows the Earth whole in one shot. That's the next thing. I think just before every world ends, it's like a scientist going, I don't know. There's a scientist going, every time the world ends.
Yeah, well, it was a quantum leap. Harnessing the power of the atom. Or they didn't harness it. Did they
pick the thing, meaning the sort of uranium and stuff and plutonium and whatnot? Are they picking this because this is the best at doing that? Is this the best possible thing to use in this thing? Or is there something else that could be more devastating, but this is better, or it'll take months for us to refine this shit, but this is better for the environment, just for argument's sake. Is there a more green friendly bomb that we could be?
Yeah, a hydrogen bomb sounds green, doesn't it?
It does.
Because we have green hydrogen now.
Power. Yeah,
green hydrogen,
power.
Yeah. So it sounds very good. I don't exactly know what a hydrogen bomb is.
I think nuclear bombs have really tarnished the image of nuclear power.
Totally.
I think it's impossible.
Man, totally.
It's impossible to view them separately, isn't it? Don't you think?
And it shouldn't be. They're both.
No, it shouldn't be, because, like you just said,
hydrogen
bombs are really scary and exist, and they're not peace-loving green bombs. They're killing machines, just like everything else. It's not new.
What we need to think about this.
Hydrogen's got a way better name, and I'm going to say this because we are 60% H2O or whatever, or 80% H2O, us humans. So we like hydrogen a lot. We're big fans of hydrogen. Some people drink it. They drink some hydrogen dioxide. Some people really dig it.
And the sun's mainly hydrogen.
Yeah, so we're big fans of hydrogen. The
universe
stuff
is a big fan of hydrogen. First element on the scene.
Really?
Early. It's just a proton.
But proton with an electron. The other one, you expect me to believe that shit? Just I bet. What you got to think? Makes your voice funny.
Nuclear power is such a controversial issue. What you got to think about? Nuclear is a dirty word. It is a dirty word.
I agree. And how can it not be associated with being dirty? I mean, the biggest you got the nukes, number one, and then you got something like Chernobyl and Fukushima, which also tarnished its name because they're like, it's not safe. It's not that safe, especially if you're in the ring of fire. Which Japan
if a vending machine falls over and kills someone, are we not going to use vending machines? Because vending machines smash people, smash them, kill tens of people every year. We're not saying vending machines have killed more people.
Are you trying to equate
than meltdowns?
Vending machines to okay?
Well, what I'm saying,
not nukes. You're like
what I'm saying
is the vending machines off the street.
Harnessing the power of the atom, splitting the atom, is dual use technology.
Yes,
you can use it to make a nuke, and you can you can use it to make a completely green power plant. No emissions, zero emissions.
Yeah, but you just got to store it. You got to store the shit.
Let's not worry about that. We'll worry about that later.
Chuck it in the ground.
It's still, look, what are you going to do?
Put a big cover on it.
The other alternative is there's blue hydrogen. That's another project where the CO2, you create hydrogen gas to use as energy by splitting water. You need a lot of energy to do that. You use gas or some other fuel source, but then you capture the CO2 and you stick it in the ground. That's carbon capture storage. That's what blue hydrogen is. And there's lots of blue hydrogen projects around the world. So what you're doing is you're still creating carbon. You're using that. You're burning carbon, but you're capturing the gas and you're sticking it back in the earth, so it's not going to the atmosphere. People are like, yeah, that's pretty good. People are
just fill the ground up. We've been chucking stuff in it for ages. We take stuff out of the ground, we put shit back in. That's how we roll.
So there's a lot of blue hydrogen projects in there that have reached the point of being developed, and there's some operational. And even Australia has carbon capture storage legislation now to allow for this. And then there's green hydrogen, which is using green, and so as in, what do you call it, like solar, wind, things that don't produce any carbon, and you use that to generate the electricity to split the water molecules and produce hydrogen, and then you capture the hydrogen and use it.
So we're talking about the means of production.
Then
of producing the initial energy. Interesting.
The green hydrogen, Australia's gone all in on this. And I don't understand. I don't think we have any operational projects right now. We have a lot in the pipeline, and it's going to be really interesting. I think they think that we're going to solve a lot of the technological issues when we have to. Like, you can't transport hydrogen.
It's like an episode of Utopia, isn't it? They're just like, in 10 years' time, they'll figure it out.
They're like, we'll figure it out.
It's a bit Göbekli Tepe, if you don't mind me saying, in that they're saying that they're leaving the excavation for future generations to deal with. That's wild. Take the winery down. Anyway, moving on. It's okay.
Hey, we'll talk about nukes, and you were sort of saying that if someone was looking at the world and they see a nuclear bomb go off, they sort of realize we've reached this quantum leap. We've taken this quantum leap, and we're now we've gone from the whatever age we were in into the nuclear age, arguably.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
It's a bit of a line in the sand moment. And there's the idea that maybe
we tipped off the aliens.
Yeah, tipped them off. They came
so
check things out.
Then you have uptick in people having sightings after we have sort of tested nukes and used nukes. You get more sightings of UFOs, and UFO mania kind of takes off in the 50s and 60s and whatnot. So, and ever since then, it's all been mysteries and stuff.
And where I'm going with that is, I was at I was doing a yoga course on the weekend, actually, and the instructor is very down to earth, probably similar to me, like, into certain things, but not too weird. He's pretty normal. But he did say one thing that was a little bit weird, and he flagged SkinWalker Ranch as something that he said, you might want to check into this. He's someone that believes that there are aliens out there, but not like, he's not saying he's getting abducted and stuff like that. The more, he's aware of the Colonel Fravor Tic Tac incident. And if he ever got one question to God, his question would be, what else is out there? And I was like, that's interesting. Good question. And so he's of the view that there is.
Well, God is out there for number one in that scenario. That's number one. God's out there.
Yeah. Well,
he's probably wondering why you're wondering about lesser beings when you're in the presence of Almighty God. Why you would wonder about these lesser beings from some other place who may or may not have visited in the 50s and 60s.
I mean, don't you have a question for me? I'm the all-powerful. Yeah. Don't you want to know if I'm omniscient, omnipresent?
Are you really the head of the Quickie Mo? Yes. You? Yes. Really? Yeah, pretty much. I think anyone who gets the opportunity to talk to God and ask him a question will squander the opportunity. I think no one's really got a very good question, because one thing for me that's solved instantly is, holy shit, there's a God. I mean, I'm going to have to process that first. Now that we've done that, all right, cool. I guess is there a time limit on this? No time limit? I'll take my time.
Yeah, I'd need some time. If you were under pressure and you just had to ask something, that would be the worst, because you'd potentially, you'd ask a shit question.
Yeah. You'd go, okay, were you and Jesus the same bloke? Yeah, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. See you later. Damn it. The Holy Trinity is not real? Get out. You've already used your question. Come on, man.
It got me because I had heard of SkinWalker Ranch. I didn't know much about it, so I watched a quick documentary on it, a short one. I wasn't really that captivated by it. I don't think it's a very good story. I'm wondering why he got so excited about it. He said, check out SkinWalker Ranch and something along, like, you'll thank me later kind of thing. Like, you'll really like this.
So what's in there that you think he's tapped into? Like, what did you say? What are the overall claims of the ranch?
From
weird shit happens there.
Yeah,
I think there's cattle
mutilations. Yeah, it's the epicenter for unusual activities. There were some bulls that kind of got hypnotized and ended up in a bit of a trailer, and then it's almost like when they realized they were in the trailer. That sounds really dumb, but the story actually sort of half made sense. There's
Did someone then purchase the ranch?
Yeah.
Who's a skeptic? And
Was he a skeptic or
I think that if you believe in aliens, you're skeptical.
Yes.
To some extent.
Oh, I thought a skeptic is someone that's not a believer.
No, but the mainstream is that there aren't aliens. So he's skeptical of that at the very least.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how to surmise the usual skeptic position.
But I was upset because didn't seem to be any hard evidence around this. Again, at the end of the day, it was interesting, and you have some decent eyewitness kind of testimony, and you have some strange circumstances. It does sound like the Pentagon did fund $22 million of research there. That's their claim.
Again, that's not evidence. It is something, though. It's fuel to a fire if you want to go with that. Yeah. Definitely.
And there was a lot of research that went on there, which I don't think all the results of that have been released, but there's nothing, apparently there was no hard evidence of this, of any particularly, no aliens. So I was a bit disappointed.
No aliens? What were you expecting? The documentary should have Big Grey Boy in it.
I thought it could be something on par with Colonel Fravor's Tic Tac evidence.
Right. No, it's not.
Not at all.
And I think that's the most compelling UFO story I've ever heard from the most credentialed person that I've ever heard. Because I've heard other people who worked in the government, who worked in military, talk about this stuff before. This was different because this is a guy who understands aerial tech because he flies the most complex things that humans build, and therefore he's the best person to tell me whether or not this thing's moving at a dumb speed or not. So I like his story a fair bit. So let's do this again. I'm sure we've done this in the past. Let's do it again. Let's find out where we sit. Okay, so aliens. It's a yes from me. That's an easy one.
Yes, yeah.
That without saying anything else, aliens, yes. Yes. Have visited Earth. I'm in the yes camp still.
I'm in the yes camp, but there's always a but. I'm going to say yes. If I just have to answer yes or no, I'll say yes.
Yes. Yep. Okay. Okay, and I might get you to elaborate on that now because are you saying that maybe we've got encountered technology but maybe not aliens?
Well, that too, and it depends when. I think that they've been here at some point. I'm not saying that they're here now. Yep. I'm not saying they were necessarily all this. I think there's been an alien presence on Earth. I don't know anything. I think if I'm going to say anything, I think they could have been here at a later, like some earlier stage. I like the idea of their involvement with human development. I like that. Not saying there's any evidence.
Oh, you're talking about sort of ancient alien stuff.
Yeah.
I think impact on culture is probably the most evidential thing. I mean, I think it's quite fascinating that humans made up stories of gods. I think that's fascinating that they even came up with that. Although they probably just did it to explain the world around them. Because maybe the kids are asking too many questions about what does that star mean and what does that star mean, and they just started making shit up. I don't know. But I think that's always fascinated me. Not only did they come up with the concept of gods, but they also came up with the concept of the afterlife and all this sort of other shit as well. So there could have been intervention there. That does explain it better than apart from the way I just described it, meaning it was just campfire stories. That would explain it a little bit.
Well, Joe Rogan's always going on about the doubling of the human brain over a period of a relatively short period in evolution. The doubling in the size of the human brain is apparently, I don't know in what time period, but relatively short in evolutionary terms, is the biggest unexplained event of science or something along those lines.
Right.
He says that it's very hard to explain.
Of modern humans.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what sort of time period he's talking about there. Is that your sort of stoned ape theory, though? I think he's a big proponent of that.
Yeah. It's also could be we just started fucking with fire and tenderizing meat and taking on way more protein, enabling the brain to grow bigger.
Yep, and have more sort of fit young offspring and stuff, like have the better traits in the next generation, keep going.
But, Joe's had the opportunity to talk to a lot of people, and the way he phrases it, he says that this is one of the, developmentally and evolutionary speaking, this is the biggest unexplained thing where there's no good explanation for it. So whenever there's no good explanation, that's when you insert aliens here, God here, you start, it's like how do you explain
natural.
it?
Yeah. It's the best guess at explaining it, right? Because just to go back to Fravor, because sort of where we were talking about before is about where we sit with sort of the alien stuff, but just from a technological perspective, you're looking at this thing, or you're hearing it described about how it's moving around, and there are possibilities outside of aliens, God, and the rest. The possibilities of potentially it being another country's technology. That's a possibility. It's actually way higher possibility than aliens. However, the speeds and whatnot and the sheer leap in technology is that which it rules everybody out who's on Earth. Unless we're dealing with, and I'm not ruling this out, some Atlantean culture who's just existed for thousands of years without us knowing. They live under the water. They send out their ships from underwater. We know fuck all about the oceans.
And these ships are going in and out of the water. Which is pretty weird. That's even weirder.
That's the sexiest part for me, is that we got Atlantean shit going on. And they always talk about how we've only ever explored something like 5% of our oceans. Like, we're not aware of the vast majority of the ocean. That might be in your fact book. It may be slightly out of date, but it might be up to like 8%. I think when you live in Australia and you've looked at the world with Australia in the frame, and you've seen this big country, everywhere else seems kind of small. Like you look at the Amazon and you'd be like, that's not that big. You could light out that in a day, right? No, apparently not. Apparently it would take shitloads of money. So it's the same thing for our oceans times a billion. So yeah, dude, I'd love to, some person just invents some sort of satellite which just scans the oceans and gives us full detailed views of just everything, live views. We'll start seeing some USOs, you know what I mean? Not to mention all the cool whales and shit.
Okay, I've asked ChatGPT, did the human brain double in size in a relatively short period of time?
Yeah. ChatGPT scraped the internet on our behalf.
Yes, the human brain did indeed undergo a significant increase in size over a relatively short period of evolutionary time. Around 2 to 3 million years ago, during the early stages of evolution, the genus Homo, there was a notable increase in brain size. The change was particularly pronounced in Homo habilis to Homo erectus, with brain size roughly doubling over a span of about 1 to 2 million years. That seems like a long period of time, but it is saying to me 1 to 2 million years sounds ginormous. I can't even wrap my head around that. But ChatGPT is saying that's a relatively short period of time, evolutionary time. This increase in brain size is believed to be linked with the development of more complex behaviors, tool use, social structures, and the ability to adapt to changing environments. It's important to note that while the brain size increased, it's not solely the size, but also the structural complexity and organization of the brain that are crucial for cognitive abilities and intelligence.
And everything else is just dumb cunts. Everything else is just dumb.
Well, the brain is the most complex thing we know of in the universe.
Isn't that a bit self-centered?
Yeah, only on our planet. I could say our solar system.
What do you mean, though?
It's so the complexity of the brain.
Surely there's a lot going on in a whale's brain, right?
No. But I mean, true. I would say that I don't know if whales dream. I don't know if they have the same. They would have a developed brain in certain senses. I don't know if they have intelligence as.
Aren't dolphins quite comparable in brain size to a human? So would they dream? Do dolphins dream?
Well, apparently crows are the smartest, like IQ to body, like their brain.
So it's brain size
to mass, brain to body weight ratio or something. Crows are like the highest in the animal kingdom. Yeah,
that's fascinating. So when in Game of Thrones they're saying send a raven, it's because they're sending like the smartest pricks they know to go deliver messages back and forth. That's pretty clever. Like, how did they work that out with the homing pigeon stuff? They're geniuses. who were communicating over vast distances via bird.
Fucking hell.
And you trust the message to get there like we trust the postal system? Like, you know, when they sent ravens, do they literally give that bird, do they give like 100 birds the letter and go, they whisper something like King's Landing, fucking go, and then they go? Like,
how do they tell them where to go? Or is that bird only trained to go to and from one location?
Yeah, it would only go to and fro that location.
Okay, so
and it would get fed on both ends.
Wow.
And it would know that it's getting fed on the other side. So
how spewing would you be if it died? You know, when you lose a bird like that.
You've got to send a few. You've got to send a few.
Isn't Mike Tyson into homing pigeons?
I think he is.
So he would know all about this. Actually,
I think this is a good thing to get into. I don't think we can trust the internet to hold on for the next 10 or 20 years, man. We need to get into the bird game. We need to be delivering our podcast with little USB sticks to people via pigeon or via carrier bird. Okay, so pigeons are effective as messengers due to their natural homing abilities. The pigeons are transported to a destination in cages where they're attached with messages. Then the pigeon naturally flies back to its home where the recipient could read the message. So you would take a bunch of birds with you. That's like taking a bunch of stamps with you onto the battlefield, and then you'd give them updates every day. You'd send a pigeon back home. So I want to know when that practice kind of stopped. Like, when did we go, dudes? The carrier pigeon's going out of style a bit, and we need to think about other ways. Okay, so here it is. Homing pigeons were potentially being used for pigeon post in ancient Egypt by 1350 BC.
Of course they were. Fucking hell.
Messages were tied around the legs of the pigeon, which was freed and could reach its original nest.
You're just baiting me to talk about Egypt.
Well, there was a comment on one of our recent videos that says that they were promised pyramid chat and you didn't deliver. Because you've done an end of episode next week. We're going to get it.
I'll give you. Okay. There's too much. I'm going to give you one fact
about Egypt.
It's going to take some time. I'm going to give you one thing about the pyramids.
Start with the
I'm going
fact,
to get you started on it. I have thought about it a little bit. Okay, I'm
going
to give you some
pyramids,
backstory.
You know, this is the thing.
Yeah. The great. It's fine. So
but is that the most
Khufu
important
pyramid?
Yeah.
No, it is. It is.
I know it is, but like we only know about that one. Anyway, go on.
Okay, so the Great Pyramid, Khufu's pyramid, as it's called, it's
Big K dog.
One of the largest construction projects of all time. Still is. So it's only equaled in scale by the Hoover Dam construction in the 1930s. That's the next time that something happened as big was the 1930s, whereas the Great Pyramid was constructed what's believed to be 2,475 BC. Let's just say 2,500 BC to round it off.
Which is 4,500 odd years ago or 4,000 years ago.
Totally.
It's a long time ago.
So I've got some facts here. I'm just trying to give you – I need you to understand –
Hoover Dam was less than 100 years ago, just for context.
Yeah, and this will all sort of feed into the fact. Because in isolation, sometimes it's just lost. So you sort of have to have this build
Understood.
up. So Hoover Dam, 2.5 million cubic meters of concrete was used. The pyramids have 2.6 million cubic meters of stone. So – yeah, it's far easier to pour concrete. So when I even say that they're equals in scale, because the Hoover Dam, if you know anyone that's seen the Hoover Dam, it sort of borders Nevada and Arizona, that they're awe-inspired. They're saying it was massive. It's huge, right? This is bigger. It's 100,000 cubic meters bigger, of material. But this material was also
quarried out of the ground.
700 kilometers. Some of the biggest stones. 700 kilometers. Aswan Quarry is 700 kilometers.
Aswan's where they got the granite from, but all of the stones on the outer construction are local limestone quarries.
No, exactly. But the biggest one, the 70-ton stones that are used to
internal
line
ones?
Yes, King's Chamber.
Ones.
Top of the King's Chamber, 70-ton stones.
Yeah, they had to bring that from Aswan. Yeah,
700 kilometers before the use of the wheel over mountains. Yeah, you got to bring it in.
Yeah, so they got it. They'd have to boat it in. That's what I'd do.
So 70 tons. Yeah, so it's about as heavy as the space shuttle. endeavor.
Yeah, just chuck that on a boat and send it down the river.
It's half. So this is to give you an idea of what 70 tons is, right? It's half as heavy as the Statue of Liberty without the base.
Yeah, just chuck it on a boat.
It's the equivalent of 12 African bull elephants.
No wheel.
No wheel.
No wheel.
Or, so one block, 18 hippos, 30 rhinos, they weigh about 2 tons each, 100 cows weighing 700 kilos each, or about 40 cars weighing 1.5 ton.
Mm.
So this is all before. So this is, again.
You said 1.5 tons. That can't be right.
Yeah, 1.65 tons, 40 cars.
Yeah, but that's not 40 cars. A car's like 700 kegs, 800 kegs.
These are big cars. These are big. These are a decent sized car.
But 1,000 kilos is still a ton, right?
Yeah.
So 1.4 tons would only be like 3 cars, not 40.
It's 70 tons. So one block is 70 tons. So it's 40
right. You're breaking it
big
down to
cars.
tonnage. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, I'm with you.
Okay, so let's just get the scale in terms of quantity of material and difficulty of construction.
And you say that the Hoover Dam is poured concrete? I thought there were granite parts of the Hoover Dam.
There probably are. In terms of a lot of it's concrete. The vast majority of it's concrete, which I assume is poured. I don't even know. They could have. I don't know. I know it's concrete, which I think you need to recognize that one is blocks that have been carved and transported, and one is just sort of you make the material and just dump it in. So it's the Great Pyramid is the last remaining of the 7 wonders of the world, and it's the first.
Yep.
I would submit it's on another level completely because all the other wonders were constructed between 280 BC and 600 BC.
And they're gone already. And they were gone
And they're
already.
gone. And the Great Pyramid is twice as old as all of the other great wonders. Some of the 7 wonders of the world, they're not even sure if they existed. Like they don't have any records of them. They're just word of mouth stuff. That's just mythical shit. This is standing there for all to see, and it's twice as old as any of them.
Yeah,
It's 146 meters high. The next biggest of the wonders of the world was 100 meters high, and that was the Lighthouse of Alexandria. The Great Pyramid was the tallest structure on the planet for over 4 millennia. It was taken over by the Lincoln Cathedral.
Right?
Well, it was the Lincoln Cathedral. Well, eventually it was the Lincoln Cathedral at 160 meters, but that was just a spire, so I'm not counting that, which collapsed as well. And then the Lincoln Cathedral was surpassed by Minster. I should check that out in Germany. That was 161.5 meters, and it's still the tallest cathedral in the world. And then came along the Washington Monument, which was 169 meters, which also unquestionably has Egyptian links.
Yep.
World's tallest obelisk. And then comes the Eiffel Tower.
Even the Hoover Dam has Egyptian stuff as well, Native American as well.
Yeah, okay. The Eiffel Tower is 312 meters, actually smashes. It's twice as high as that overtook the Washington Monument, which was 169. But also the Eiffel Tower is kind of like the way it's a different construction method, isn't it? It's all hollow. It's more of a frame than an actual. Yeah.
Really
okay, so this brings me to the important part. So a pi, as you know, is a constant by which the diameter of a circle can be multiplied by to give the circumference. The credit goes to a Greek mathematician, Archimedes, around 250 BC.
That's who gets the cred.
That's who officially, if you look up who invented pi, who calculated pi, it's Archimedes. It was acknowledged that the Egyptians used a crude value of pi around 1900 BC. So very early on, they had a crude, like 3 or 3.1. There's the Rind papyrus, which has some kind of calculations they were doing where people say, but they're not acknowledged as having knowing the circumference of a circle. They didn't have any specificity. They had like a rule of thumb basically,
but they still couldn't work out the wheel.
Yeah, exactly. They
what have you drawn there? That's a circle. Well, and you can tell the distance based off this number. I can. If you give me the outer number, I'll tell you what the inner number is. And how will I know if I'm right or wrong? You won't. But this is it. Promise. Should we do a wheel or what? Nothing. We'll just worry about that in a couple of thousand years.
Okay, so now that's I guess a little bit of history of pi. But now the height of the pyramid and the perimeter of the base of the pyramid,
yes,
are linked by pi.
How?
So if the height is the radius of a circle,
yes,
so you count that as r.
Yep.
Now, if you go pi, 2 pi r is how you calculate the circumference of a circle. So I can tell you what the height is of the pyramid.
And therefore you'll be able to tell me that the width of the base.
No, I'll be able to tell you the circumference
of
the square base.
Yes. Okay, great. So what's the pyramid?
It's
300 and something meters?
No, the pyramid's 146.6
146.
meters.
All right,
you can get that from Wikipedia because obviously the pyramid, they've lost the top of it.
Yeah, the capstone's gone.
The capstone's gone. But you can calculate it.
It's not actually gone. I think they've got a piece of it.
I don't think they have the capstone.
Oh, they've got one of them.
They do have. I don't know if it's the pyramid ones or the top of obelisks, but it's only
the
rumored
pyramidion.
what was.
That's what they're called, the pyramidion. And this one here is the pyramidion Akamat hat. Amen.
They've got a few rolling around, but they don't have the.
They don't have
the
that
Great
one.
Pyramid, I don't think. But anyway,
Okay.
you can get it from Wikipedia, right? Which I did, not a reliable source. It does say 146.6 meters. But
okay.
They have some of the base stones, because a lot of them were covered up. They still have the angle. So the ones right at the bottom, if you sort of like dig them up,
you
can get the angle of the pyramid, the exact slope. So they know it's 51 degrees. 50 minutes and 40 seconds. They know the exact slope. And you can actually calculate, if you actually do the trigonometry using that angle, you can actually calculate the height, and it's exactly, I did it once to check if Wikipedia was right. And it's 146.6 within like, I guess, what's that point? It's either 146.6 or 146.56. It's like if you round it, it's going to be 146.6.
It's very close. Yeah, right on.
And I've got the exact, now that I've dug it all up, you can get the exact base perimeter of it. So if you just do the calculation 2 pi r using the height of the pyramid, you get the base. Within,
well, according to you,
but I can show you. I can show you the.
Let's have it.
Yeah. Okay. So the one length of the square base is 230,363.18 millimeters.
Okay.
One length. So the square base is
let's have it in meters. We're doing the other thing in meters.
Okay. Well, we will have to do that eventually. But I want to show you the precision that they're measuring the base of the pyramid with. You have it down to 2 decimal points of a millimeter.
Sure. Okay, that's fair.
And
that's fair.
So the square base, you just move the decimal point. So let's do it in meters. It's 920. Actually, you need the specificity because I'm going to decimal places on this. So
I like it.
It's 921,452.72 millimeters.
Great. That's the total.
Great. So if you do you have a calculator?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can do pi on that calculator?
Surely.
So 2 times pi times...
where's pi? I'm going to have to get my advanced calculator out. Yeah, I've got pi. Yep, got it.
Okay, 2 times pi times 146
times 146.
Don't hit enter yet. Then go 600.
146,600 or not? No dot.
No. What? Because we're doing it in millimeters.
146,600.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And what is your?
Okay, my number is...
So this is the circumference that if you're calculating, using the height of the pyramid.
As a theoretical radius.
Yes.
For a circle.
Yes.
It would be a circle with a circumference of 921,114.96603.
Okay, so divide that to get a percentage of degree of accuracy. divide that by 921.
Divided by 921.
452.
452.
0.72.
0.72 equals.
Times by 100.
Equals 99.96%.
And that's obviously there's some error associated with that. Is I gave you 146.6 meters, whereas we actually need to go to a few more decimal points in that to be, that's just like an approximate height. Mm-hmm. But the base is established. So I'm saying it could be a coincidence. It could certainly be a coincidence.
If it's a coincidence, it's pretty incredible.
Oh, I'm saying this is just one thing. I'm going to give you one each week. So my argument is that was intentional because they use numbers like this all the time. And in their art and religion and architecture, they use these numbers come up again and again and again. It could be a coincidence that it's 99.96% accurate, but why would they do this, right? There's a thing that you see all through history. You see them in South America with the Inca trails. You see them all around. There's a thing called squaring the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen a square in a circle?
Sure, absolutely. Only on that Hidden in Plain Sight guys videos. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, this is what the Egyptians are doing by using a square-based pyramid, but incorporating this circumference because it's a classic problem in geometry. There's apparently intrigued mathematicians for centuries. If you're given a circle, the challenge is to construct. This has been something that's been done throughout history by mathematicians. So you're given a circle, and the challenge is to construct a square that is exactly the same area as the circle using only compass and straight edge. And the problem was proven to be impossible in 91. And they demonstrated that pi is a transcendental number, which means it doesn't reoccur at any point. The decimal just keeps going on with random numbers forever.
Well, you say random numbers, so how did we work it out?
A computer. The best computers on Earth try to calculate the end of pi, and it's a transcendental number. It's an irrational number.
I'm sure there's a website dedicated to pi, and if you go on it, it will just show you a wall of numbers, just an absolute wall of numbers.
Well, there's a guy that's recited pi to 20,000 decimal places.
20,000?
20,000. He's got the world record. I've talked about him on the podcast before.
Yeah.
So there's this thing, squaring the circle can't be done right. So despite the impossibility, squaring the circle has been a metaphor in literature and philosophy for attempting the impossible or pursuing an unattainable goal.
Mm-hmm. Yep, believe. And
doesn't that fit in quite well with perhaps what they're doing? If the pyramid is some kind of I guess, they're trying to become a star in that thing is actually, I think, what they're trying to do. When I say become a star, they're symbolically becoming a part of the universe. Their soul is merging with the infinite. I think that's essentially what they're doing.
With a circle?
Well, I mean, squaring the circle is a metaphor in literature and philosophy for attempting the impossible or pursuing an unattainable goal. Maybe it's the reaching, it's the striving. I don't know.
If I was in a religion, a star cult, I wouldn't want to be like reaching. I'd want to be pretty firm. Like, it's not something that I'm like, I'm just, I'm not sure.
It's just got cool connotations. It's
absolutely.
They revere irrational numbers, and there'll be another irrational number next week that they're supposed to not know of. That is, it's perfectly incorporated and very overtly, but we'll worry about that one next week. But I just think it's interesting because the pi was not the only credit,
they're not attributed to the ancient Egyptians at all,
not at all. But they did
thousands of years later.
But the scale, if you
learned
appreciate
from the mystery schools as well, who actually learned himself from the mystery schools, so he was basically just reading ancient Egyptian shit anyway, right?
Yeah, I don't know about Archimedes, but definitely Pythagoras.
Rediscovered.
Yeah. But then, so this, they did it with such a degree of accuracy. And if you now go back to what I was saying about how the scale of this thing of what they're doing, do you know how hard it is? It's nearly perfectly aligned to true north. Nearly perfectly, to a degree of accuracy that I can give you again, which is in a similar degree to what we're talking about now. It's almost crazy. It's almost perfect.
Too perfect. It's almost too perfect.
And when you're moving stones that are as heavy as a space shuttle, half as heavy as the Statue of Liberty, from 700 kilometers away,
right, does it?
And we don't even know how they did it. And then they're incorporating these numbers on a scale when they didn't actually have mathematics. They're not attributed with knowing any mathematics. Do you know how much planning? Do you understand how much planning has to go in to do this? The shafts that run through the pyramid aren't hollowed out after the fact. They're constructed whilst they're putting the blocks in at perfect angles. Perfect. It's incredible. I
think you just had one bloke working on all the hard shit and everyone else was just hauling up rocks and there was just one guy playing Chip Away Dinosaur up there.
It is so amazing.
It's too much. It's a lot.
Anyway, but that's for whoever wanted something on the pyramids.
Yeah, it's a bit of Egypt for you. We'll have more next week, though. Yeah. We're just putting it out there. There'll be more next week. And thank you for tuning in to today's episode. And in case you were wondering, and I know Nate was, the pi to the 99,999th place, decimal place, is 1. So, just a little nice thing for you there. A bit of pi.
Could come up in a quiz, pub quiz.
Yeah, it's unlikely to be that one, but yes, that is it. We'll see you next time, same place, next week.